Spyro! No Spyro for anyone! Until 10,000 at least. Are we gonna get there? Are we ever gonna get there? And when we do, am I gonna be able to do it? You know, this game has made me doubt my ability to review stuff. Am I even worthy? I'm not worthy. Well, we made it. We finally made it! We made it to 10,000 subscribers! And ever since that mysterious package was delivered to me for Christmas, I knew it was almost time. Time to review Skylanders, Spyro's Adventure. So now, the real question is, can I do it? Let's find out. After a failed attempt to bring new life to the Spyro franchise with the Legend of Spyro trilogy, it seemed as if all hope was lost for our favourite purple dragon. That was until Toys for Bob, a dev studio I remember fondly from my childhood, was given the opportunity to revive the character. Originally turning down a gritty, realistic Spyro experience, they instead opted with a Toys to Life model where players would have to purchase separate figurines to unlock all of the game, and there Skylanders was born. Now, while the Toys to Life genre had been attempted before, it was popularised with Skylanders, initiating a wave of similar business models over the following years, including Disney Infinity and Nintendo's Amiibo figures. Ironically, Nintendo was approached with an exclusivity deal for Skylanders, but rejected it. I bet they regretted that decision when the first game alone made $500 million fucking its first year. But I mean, of course it did. You lock kids out of the game they got for their birthday so that they beg their parents to buy more figures, and before you know it, your child has an army of Skylanders toys and Activision have their pockets lined. It was a genius business decision, honestly, regardless of how scummy it really is. But here is the part that really likes to punch people in the dick. People hate Skylanders simply because they feel like it ruins Spyro. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, it's the fucking internet. But surely it can't be that bad. We've played some pretty horrendous games on this channel, a lot of which were Spyro games, I'll remind you. So before we get started, I'd just like to say, fuck you if you've ever said that shit without having played any of the games. As we get through the first level, we're introduced to the world of Skylands and all of the main characters. Skylanders were the protectors of the world and, more importantly, the core of light. They were led by Master Eon, a portal master who helps the Skylanders. I'm already sick of saying the word Skylander, just so you know, and the game hasn't shut the fuck up about it either. This was until the darkness returned to wreak havoc through the lands. It's always the darkness, isn't it? Along with the darkness returned Chaos, this pretty cool looking villain, until they immediately reveal him to be a snotty-nosed brat.
Fear my giant floating head!
See? I told you the head isn't scary enough.
Why did they do that? I get that it's a joke for dumb kids, but the least you could do was leave the big reveal till the end of the game, or even another game in the series. This is cool, this isn't, and any potential comedy in this joke falls flat as it's revealed after the first level. Chaos and his dark minions destroy the core of light, killing Eon and transporting all of the Skylanders to our world. I think that's a really cool way of explaining how these heroes come to exist in the real world, but it doesn't explain why I had to put down all of the dollars to collect them all. It's like a real life version of Moneybags. Give me money so that you can save me. Eon's right-hand man Hugo survived and now he's our mentor, explaining in great detail every single piece of the story. I got sick of listening to him after the first few levels, but again, the game is for kids playing video games for the first time, so I guess it's excusable. We also have Flynn the Balloonist, voiced by Patrick Warburton, who is known for everything.
You see how I was able to hit that? That takes years of practice and skill.
This character has the potential to be really funny, like a lot of the characters Warburton has voiced, but instead, they went the path of dumb kiddie shit. It's really stale, and I've actually played this game co-op with my 10-year-old cousin before, and even he didn't find it entertaining. And then there is Callie, who is only there to give us extra shit to do on the side. She's forgettable to say the least, much like the rest of the characters we meet on our journey. The only character I liked in the entire game was this guy, T-Bone. He's got lots of terrible skeleton puns, but holy fuck, he had me laughing to myself whenever he was on screen. But aside from him, it's the standard, lifeless, generic sort of kiddie crap you'd expect from a large, out-of-touch corporation. But then again, in touch with what kids like these days means selfie references, and the less of that, the better in my opinion. So now it's time to rebuild the Core of Light by travelling all over to different elemental themed locations in an attempt to save Skylanders, knowing that it all means nothing because there's 5 more of these things to come.
Adventure calls.
Skylanders of the tech element are stronger in this zone.
Okay, so first level in and I'm not even supposed to play as Spyro? You're kidding me. Now of course, you're not required to have a Skylander of every element to play the game, but if you want to complete it, you'd better have some disposable income handy. So we take Spyro off, put on this little dude known as Trigger Happy, and now we get to play as him in the game. That is really fucking cool. Going into this, I assumed it would take me out of the game and ruin any immersion, but I was wrong. I'm totally into this. Each Skylander plays differently. They all for the most part have some different strengths or weaknesses, and they all have lots of upgrades to improve their attacks. And people don't like this? Why not? How is it any different to something like Pokemon? And I know most people's answers to that will be that Pokemon are all memorable characters that are fun to use, but the same can be said for Skylanders, so what's your point? The only annoyances I had playing this game was that for whatever reason, characters can't jump independently. Instead, they need to walk over jump pads. That fucking sucks. And my other issue is that the rewards for going out and spending extra money on different figures to unlock parts of the game isn't worth it. Unless you're into dumb hats for your characters, but that's really not my thing. Aside from that, the gameplay is really fun. It's just a beat 'em up, but it's a really enjoyable one. Better than the Titans games for sure. Since there is no camera control, the right stick is used to interact with items, which is pretty neat. And I think it helps that you're always encouraged to switch character and play the game with different playstyles. It helps to keep the levels from feeling repetitive, even though every level is the same thing. And switching Skylanders doesn't get annoying either. In fact, it reminds me of playing the Atari 2600, where you have to keep getting up to reset the game when you die. Yes, we've come full circle, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause. There are also different figures you can buy that give you some sort of power up, like fast movement, raining down anvils, which gets really fucking annoying, and even a shield to deflect damage. Hey, where have I seen that before? Yes, it is more shit to buy and place on the portal, but it adds a new immersive level of strategy that most games miss out on. And of course you can buy extra mission packs as well. I wish my Call of Duty DLC come with a demonic statue I could summon demons with. Hey, did I just see a dragon riding another dragon? The levels, while very linear, actually feel like Spyro levels too. I know you're getting mad at me for saying that, but just see for yourself. Even Treetops from the first Spyro game is present here, and it's my favourite level in the entire game. Not to mention all of the tropical coves, dark castles and polluted industry zones, all with really good music to accompany them. Hell, the game is set in Skylands. Take a look back through the entire Spyro series and tell me how many levels are floating in the sky. Spin off my ass. There is no way this isn't a Spyro game. People are going to be in the comments telling me, no, this is officially a spin-off. It said somewhere on a website that one time. Okay, good for you. I'm sorry that I can clearly see the inspiration for this series comes from the Spyro games we all know and love, and that because of these similarities, this game could easily be canon with the rest of the series. Just saying. I know it sounds like I'm trying to defend this game from all of the hate, but that's because I am. But don't get the wrong idea, I'm not here to give a blind critique, as there are a lot of unacceptable issues here. It is a very cheaply made game. While I do enjoy most of the levels, they're really hurt by limited movement. I hate games that do that. I hate when instead of giving the player some fun, interesting and challenging platforming in a game like this, instead, all we get are these repetitive and uninspired puzzles that drag the pacing of the levels to a screeching halt. And along with the character animations not being synced with the voices at all,
Because I, Lord, summon my unbeatable deadly life spell of death.
the overall presentation is really cheapened and sloppy on the developer's part. That seems to be a common theme with Activision published games these days, and there is no excuse for it. It's a massive turn-off along with the dumbed down kiddie shit like this.
Hey, watch where you're pointing that. But don't worry, you can't actually hurt me.
Seriously, my cousin was complaining about how stupid that is, but after a while, my brain just blocked it out and I stopped noticing it. Take that as a compliment or a complaint, I don't really care. But what I do care about is people knocking a really enjoyable Spyro experience reminiscent of Insomniac's trilogy. That's the thing that really troubles me about the internet these days. People are far too trigger happy with their triggered memes, so that people who may genuinely enjoy something automatically shun it because they perceive it as something it isn't. And as much as a lot of the things I just mentioned hurt the game on a technical level, most of it went unnoticed for the most part during my playthrough, and because of that, I don't think it's all that harmless to the overall experience. So that's why it really pisses me off when all I hear are complaints just focusing on Spyro.
I mean, who wants a purple pug with wings and scales as their protagonist?
He looks like a purple pug with wings. Okay, firstly, I don't really see it. He just looks like an immature design of a dragon, the sort of thing a kid would find appealing. And secondly, how exactly does one character's appearance take away from the game? Does it distract you? Does it offend you? I'm offended by the lack of personality Nintendo's given the character of Mario over the years, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the games are fucking brilliant. And I'm not saying Spyro's adventure is on any level close to Mario, but of all the Spyro games people could get mad about, why this one? I just don't get it. I'm sure by now I've made myself a pretty unpopular guy sticking up for this game. Most people's biggest issue with Skylanders is the fact that Activision have done nothing with Spyro since using his name to get the series rolling. And I agree. It's a real shame we haven't seen even a trilogy redesign for Spyro, much like Crash's involvement in the series more recently. But people seem to have forgotten. While Crash Bandicoot lay dormant for years without anything noteworthy, Spyro has remained relevant thanks to Skylanders as one of the primary heroes in the franchise. And I feel like that's much more important to remember than opinions on Spyro's appearance. So once you get over your crippling nostalgic fascination with Spyro's face, you can get down to business and work towards defeating Chaos. While the only real goal in each level is to get through it, there are also various side challenges for completionists and speedrunners alike. Of course, this is where having at least one figure of each element comes in handy, but remember, it's really not necessary unless you're into making a fashion statement. Every few levels we get the chance to have a boss battle against some of Chaos's dark minions. At first, I thought the fights were pretty fun, but it's the same thing every time. They're all long and drawn out because this brat can't keep his mouth shut. Seriously, all he does is spew the same shit over and over again. It's like, shut the fuck up and die already, Jesus. Towards the end of the game, the pacing gets a bit muddled and feels like the development was rushed here. The levels themselves start to get a bit tired and really slow down, with lots of waiting and even a random on-rails shooting section for some reason. Seriously, this isn't fun, and neither is waiting for this platform. Look at this! It takes the same amount of time as it does to load a level in Enter the Dragonfly, and you have to do it 4 4 times in the same level. It's not like I can even fuck around to kill the time either, because the platform can kill you. Great! After that, it's time to meet Chaos face to face. It's at this point, when I've been sick of the game for the past few levels, that the reveal of Chaos's true form would have actually made a lot more sense. It'd wake me up for the final boss and give me a bit of a chuckle. But oh wait, he's seen throughout the entire game. This final boss fight is really bad. It's just a combination of the previous 4 fights, except we also have to attack his podium to drain the health bar. I lost so many Skylanders in this fight. When one dies, it can't be used for the rest of the level, which I like. Each toy is the equivalent of having an extra life. At least this dickweed shuts his mouth for most of it. We defeat Chaos, then use the Core of Light to banish him to Earth. All that's really left to do now would be going back and completing the levels and fully upgrading all of your figures. As I mentioned earlier, there are also some side challenges, but they really don't add much in my opinion. Aside from that, there is also the option of competitive local multiplayer, if your friend was a massive dick and took all of the treasure for himself. There are 3 modes: Deathmatch, Football and Gem Master. They're all pretty basic, so they're only fun for about 5 minutes. And with that, Skylanders Spyro's Adventure is finally done. I'll be honest with you guys, I went into this expecting the absolute worst because of all the negativity that surrounds this series. And because of that, I was pleasantly surprised. Sure, there are issues here, and the entire business model is based around preying on children, but that honestly doesn't change the fact that this is the most fun I've had playing a game for as long as I can remember. For games in a similar situation to this, like Crash of the Titans, I'd normally say something like it's a bad Crash game, but it's still an okay game. But this time, Spyro's Adventure is a good game, and an okay Spyro game too. Skylanders Spyro's Adventure gets 6 out of 10. Yes, it gets the same score as the first Spyro, and I'm thankful this game was able to take me back to such an enjoyable experience. Now, I just thought I should mention that after playing this, I'd like to check out the rest of the series down the line at some point. However, it might be a while, as we've got a few more important series to get done first. And of course, thank you all for subscribing. 10,000 is a big number, and a number that seemed so far away for the longest time. So it really does mean a lot that you guys enjoy the content I make, and keep supporting the channel as much as you do. And now that this milestone celebration is out of the way, I can get started on a new series that I'm really excited about. But until then, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share. I'm Square Eye Jack, and have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.